It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 8th day of October 2021. Coming to you from Bedford County, Central Virginia area, right outside of Lynchburg. Today is National Pierogi Day. I'm not an overly big fan of pierogies, but we do occasionally, we'll fix them, especially during the winter, make once a month or so. So that's kind of a regular for me, but yeah, it's not my favorite food. But today's National Pierogi Day, so I celebrate that with all of my friends from Poland. Poland? Is that Polish? I think it's Polish. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, National Pierogi Day. All right, in the news, UK cuts the red list to 7. That's cool. MSC naming ceremony to be held at Ocean Key. Carnival's 3 months of sailing, kind of a report card this morning. We got some of the latest adventures from Hot Air Tom, and I've got a special guest coming up in just a second. This, of course, and more. This morning on Friday, Travel and Cruise Industry News. The cruise ships sailing today, and remember, folks, we're going into just a huge weekend for the restart of cruises in the United States. So sailing today from Fort Lauderdale, you've got the Celebrity Equinox sailing for 9 nights. Out at Long Beach from Los Angeles, Carnival Miracle is sailing for a 3-nighter. Down in Miami, Freedom of the Seas for a 3-nighter. By the way, a friend of mine is going to be working on Freedom of the Seas starting today. From New York, we've got the Crystal Symphony leaving on a 7-dayer. Down in Port Canaveral, Marin of the Seas, a 3-dayer. Disney Dream, a 3-dayer. Out in San Diego, the Disney Wonder sailing for 3 days. And up in Seattle, Ovation of the Seas leaves for a 7-dayer to Alaska. Now, before we get to our special guest for the day, I have a couple things from Elizabeth on location. Of course, Elizabeth is on location down in Cozumel, where she lives. That's Elizabeth Stern, of course. That's just an absolutely gorgeous sunset from her digs there in Cozumel. This, my friends, is back in the day, Captain Steubing. Now, if you look immediately to his right, that would be our Elizabeth Stern back in the day. So that's Captain Steubing back in the Love Boat filming days. Now, here's the test for this morning, folks. We'll take guess on what port that one is from, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I missed this one. It was close, but I missed this one also. But anyway, feel free to stick some answers in, and I'll kind of watch, see if I catch it over there as we get going here this morning. So I will flash that picture up again. All right, now, to be perfectly honest, folks, my guest today turned out to be a lifesaver for me, not particularly on today, but when I first met him. And I've told this story many times before, but my very first solo cruise was on the Norwegian Sun. And I was a little antsy about going solo, if I was going to like it at all. I was a little worried about it because I knew nothing about solo travel at that point, or very little. So I flew to Orlando, and it was one of those days where the scheduling fell right that I flew in the day of the cruise rather than flying in the night before, like I prefer to do. But it was one of those days. So I went literally from the plane through the terminal and got on a bus for a transfer to over to Port Canaveral. And I happened to be the first person on the bus. So I sat on the front seat, or maybe the second seat. I think it was the front seat. And of course I was by myself. So the next few people that got on the bus were couples. So they went on to get in seats, for the two. And this gentleman gets on the bus and stops at my seat and says, "Do you mind if I sit here?" And I said, "No, absolutely not." And he introduced himself, and I introduced myself, and come to find out that he cruises solo all the time. And we became friends and we were both on the Sun. And so I'd bump into him several times a day, usually, because it's not the biggest ship in the world. So I'd see him occasionally at meals, or I'd see him on port. So, and over the years, John and I have become good friends. I mean, we've stayed in contact ever since then. So he happens to be on the Norwegian Gem. With no further ado, Chillie chats with my good friend from the Norwegian Gem. My guest on Chillie Chats is my good friend from Wichita, John Buck. He's on the Norwegian Gem. John, welcome to Chillie Chats.
Hey, Chillie. Good to see you, man. A long time.
Yes, it is.
It's been what, three years ago? We were kind of in this same area on the Sun, I think it was.
On the Norwegian Sun, that's correct.
Out of Orlando, if I remember right.
Yes.
So I'm back. I'm on the Norwegian Gem. Today is a day at sea. So you can see we are out in the middle of the ocean. And we're on our way to Great Stirrup Cay. There's some of our friendly staff. And you'll notice, as we've picked up cruising again, right? We're back. Everything is back. A few things you will find that are going to be different. First of all, check-in takes longer.
Yeah.
So you do have to go through, at least with Norwegian, to do instant or fast COVID testing. So you go in, you do your swab, you give it back to them, you sit down in an area, and then they have these screens, big motion picture screens in front of you. When your code comes up on the screen, you lift up your card. That says you passed the COVID test. So that tells you that your result was negative, that you don't have COVID, and that you are approved to go on the ship. Then you go upstairs into the regular NCL terminal and get your key card and everything from there. So it does take a little bit longer to check in if you get there early or later in the day. The midday, I've had reports of waits up to 2 hours.
Okay.
So it really does bog down check-in. As they get better, it will get faster. With CBS, they've partnered that they now give you a printout with a barcode on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that with you at the dock, you will get through that process faster.
Okay.
So that's what check-in is like.
How did they do the muster drill? Is it old-fashioned or the new-fashioned?
It is new-fashioned. So muster drill now is they give you your muster station, and you just go down and you meet with the officers individually. So it's not the standing on the deck, shoulder to shoulder. You watch the video, you go down, you talk to your staff, and then you're clear.
Okay.
It's all about making sure that you do understand what the safety procedures are. So there's still a muster drill. It's just very different and much more Honestly, I like it better because the old muster drill was kind of annoying.
It was always a pain in the butt.
We've got to have safety. Yep. So say good morning to Chillie Falls. Morning.
How's I know that I noticed the crew is masked. Are there masking requirements on board?
So the entire crew is wearing their masks all the time. Everybody on board who is crew members, because they're getting tested once a week, or they're getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
For the guests, there is no vaccination required. There is no mask requirement on board. You have to be fully vaccinated. If you're fully vaccinated and you pass your test when you get on board, you do not have to wear a mask on the ship at all. It is just like a normal cruise right now.
Okay. How is the food on the gym? You know me, I'm a big fat guy, always interested in the food.
I tend to do the buffet more often just because I'm not a foodie, but the food has been fantastic. The food has been excellent. I've been talking to other people, and clearly the French restaurant has been the I believe that's not La Cucina, it's the Bistro.
The Bistro, yeah.
The Bistro. Yeah, the Bistro is by far the one that everyone raves about. Cagney Steakhouse is always good. Bistro has been the talk of the town. Teppanyaki is always fun because they're flipping the shrimp and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Are you doing any scuba diving this trip?
I tried, and once again, it was canceled on me. So, no, I didn't go scuba diving this time. That's the story of my life. I think what I'm going to have to do is get certified and then just do a regular, 2-tank dive somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's to be expected.
All right. Any other stops besides your stop coming up today or tomorrow? I guess it is.
So today is our sea day. Tomorrow we will be at Great Stirrup Cay. We started this in Miami.
Yeah.
And from Miami we went to Nassau. Nassau is recovered greatly. I mean, you and I were there, I think, 2 weeks after a hurricane last time.
Right.
If I remember right, it's still great. You will see on the ports that a lot of the shops are closed, and there are masking requirements on the islands.
Okay.
So, for example, in Nassau, when you're outside walking around, you're okay. But if you go inside any of the shops, you will be needing to wear a mask.
Okay.
Fort Fenestra on Nassau, the big fort
right.
with the water tower near the Queen's Steps. The Queen's Steps are open. The fort is not. So the fort, you cannot get in there. It is blocked off. All of those little shops that you would normally go to there are closed. As on down close by the port, that Bay Street Market, the big warehouse market that you might be familiar with, is also closed.
Yeah.
So a lot of the shops are still closed.
The old straw market where I used to get off and get my pina colada from that same gal. I've had about 10 of her pina coladas. Has that all been taken out because of the construction at the pier?
No, there's still a marketplace there. Again, it's about half what it used to be.
Okay.
Now the construction on the pier is going very well, and I have some pictures I was going to send you on that. The construction on the pier, the new port terminal in Nassau, is going very well. Looks like you're going to have room for at least 4, if not 5, probably breakaway class ships.
Okay.
So some of the larger ships will be fine. And then a small marina and restaurant area. But the plans for it, if you haven't looked at it, are amazing. And they're making really good progress on that. So that should be open, I believe, middle of next year.
Okay. All right, John. Well, I do appreciate your time this morning. Send me those pictures. I'll certainly use them.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
John, thanks a lot. Have a fabulous cruise.
Yep. See you later.
And that was my friend, Wichita John, I call him. Really great guy. If that broke up a little bit at the beginning, folks, that was my signal. That wasn't him, because right after I taped the interview with him this morning, I replayed it and it was totally smooth. So that breakup right at the beginning, that roughness, that was from my signal, not from his on board the Norwegian Jim, because we even commented afterwards about how sound the signal was for the live streaming, which on a sea day we were worried was going to be questionable. The one thing that I did sidetrack John on is the other stops that they made. They went to St. Thomas and San Juan on this cruise. And he said to point out to everybody, if you stop at San Juan, everything, you have to wear a mask. So that's a requirement there. But anyway, good to catch up with John. Great guy. Was fun to cruise with. And we've tried a couple times to hook up again on cruises, and one thing led to another. We never were able to do it. But anyway, it's good to hear from him this morning. All right. Today, we actually got to look at some weather for a change. I had a couple nice days off from weather forecasting, but it's an elongated area of low pressure off the coast of South Carolina, and it's producing a lot of rain events up and down the East Coast, including here in Virginia. We had some rain during the night last night. We're supposed to get some more rain here today. It's not going to be a great deal of development beyond this. Possibility of it getting a little stronger for the next 48 hours, but only about 20%. And over the next 5 days, about 30%. It's expected that the low pressure system will interact with some upper level winds, and that will keep it from going. It's moving east-northeastward at about 5 miles an hour. It could bring some heavy gusty winds and locally heavy rain to the eastern part of Carolinas and the East Coast. So then we've got on the Pacific side of things, a system that actually crossed, it started in the southern part of the Gulf and crossed over Central America, and is now out on the Pacific side of things. And it is a tropical wave that is along the Pacific coast there of Central America, producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms over a good portion of Central America and the adjacent eastern Pacific waters. Environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for development over the next several days, and a tropical depression is likely to form over the weekend or early next week, while the system moves westward to west-northwestward. 30% chance of further development today, 80% chance through the next 5 days. Again, this is likely not to have a great deal of effect on land, but we got to watch it to see what happens in the next few days. So, all right. My lead story today is from our friends over in the UK, actually. The UK government has confirmed 47 countries and territories will be removed from the red list, making it easier for people to travel abroad to a larger number of countries and territories. Passengers returning to England from these destinations will no longer be required to enter hotel quarantine. The changes come into effect on Monday. Eligible fully vaccinated passengers and eligible under 18s returning from countries and territories not on the red list can do so with just a day test, 1 day test for the vaccine, for the COVID. Other passengers who are not fully vaccinated with an authorized vaccine returned from a non-red destination must still take a pre-departure test, a day 2 and a day 8 test, and complete 10 days of self-isolation, with the option of a test to release on day 5. Also announced from Monday, eligible travelers vaccinated in over 37 countries and territories, including Brazil, Ghana, Hong Kong, India, Pakistan, South Africa, and Turkey, will also be treated the same as returning fully vaccinated UK residents. Now, did you get that? Eligible travelers that were vaccinated in these other countries will be considered fully vaccinated in the UK. That is so long as they have not visited a red list country or territory in the 10 days before returning to England. Still on the bad list, still on UK's red list are the following: Colombia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Haiti, Panama, Peru, and Venezuela. Notice the US and Canada are now off the red list for the UK. So that's for our friends over on the other side of the pond. Kind of related to that is MSC, although this is more specifically on our side of the pond. But MSC announced that its latest flagship, the Seashore, will officially be named during a ceremony at Ocean Key MSC Marine Reserve in the Bahamas on November 18th. This will mark the first time a cruise ship naming ceremony has ever taken place at a private island. The exclusive voyage will depart Miami on November 17th, giving invited guests a chance to explore the new ship as she sails from the U.S. for the first time. After that, Seashore will sail her inaugural 7-night cruise and kick off her U.S. season on November 20th. Since debuting this past summer, Seashore has been operating Mediterranean cruises. Carnival. Carnival Cruise Line reached a significant milestone as it returns to service with half of the fleet and bringing back fun-filled vacations out of multiple U.S. home ports. This is the 3 months of sailing restart. The cruise line has completed 98 sailings with a total of 237,000 guests, with ships at only an average of 70% capacity. That's a maximum of 70% capacity. And of course, with the protocols in place. Not a bad showing for 3 months as we getting back to normal, closer to normal. Also from Carnival, and this is more for me rather than most of you guys, unfortunately. Carnival Cruise Line's onboard and pre-boarding health protocols will remain in place into the new year. Guests who wish to sail onboard Carnival cruise ships will need to be vaccinated for sailings through February 2022. I'm okay with that. Therefore, the cruise line precedes the CDC, which decides on the conditional sail order this month, choosing to stick with the health protocols as they are instead of waiting for what the CDC will do. My hat's off to Carnival for that. Only a few weeks before CDC is expected to decide whether or not to extend the conditional sail order, Carnival Cruise Line has taken measures into its own hand. The cruise line's health protocols have been working well throughout the restart of operation, and with the virus still going around, there isn't any surprise the cruise line makes that kind of decision. Basically, what that means, folks, is that all guests aboard the age of 12 must be fully vaccinated. That may change, but that's the way it is now. This means a full dose, which is a Johnson & Johnson or 2 doses of Pfizer and Moderna 14 days before sailing. If it's any other combination, no, that's not going to work. Any other variations mean guests are not fully vaccinated. Tests for vaccinated guests will still need to be taken within 2 days before the sailing date. Guests can do this through a licensed testing center or approved home kits. Here's the one problem I have with the whole thing. Carnival also mentioned that guests who require oxygen for medical reasons are not permitted to sail and will not be allowed to sail at least until March 2022. So that's going to rule me out of sailing on any Carnival ships. And yes, folks, I do know that some other ships are taking oxygen folks now. I just don't know if and when I'll be able to sail. And of course, now Carnival has said bluntly, not until March 22. So that was one picture from the John sent from NASA of the current construction. We've had some pictures in the past on how it's going. And then when I get his pictures from the pier and stuff, I will definitely post those. All right. So now the latest in the adventures of Hot Air Tom. Tom sent me this picture and made reference to the fact that he's got a new hat. Well, that new hat was the, of course, in the background there. So, and he also sent pictures of, this is, I believe, the Carnival, that might be Carnival Freedom, and that one's Carnival Sunrise, or vice versa. I can't, it's not big enough for me to read. It has nothing to do with the adventures of the day. Hot Air Tom went on an airboat ride. And there you see the airboat that Hot Air Tom is going to get on. And to prove that he is there, Hot Air Tom is there with his earmuffs on because it's so cold. Actually, that's to keep the noise down, folks. Now, the one problem is that Hot Air Tom started speaking to the operator there and said, "Look," he says, "I have a company back home with all kinds of vehicles, so I think I need to drive the airboat." The operator went, "No, not going to happen." So they went on out on the airboat ride out in the swamps. It's a fun thing to do if you ever get a chance to do it. Then they got off the airboat with the alligators, and they saw Tom coming and put up a sign just for him. It says, "Wild alligators do not feed or touch." Because they know Tom has a way of trying to steal animals and take them back home to Virginia. They said not to do that with the gators. And there you see he's gotten back off the airboat there to play with the alligators. And lo and behold, there was one. Now, see, Hot Air Tom then offered the operator of the airboat that he would get in the water with the alligator and wrestling. That's what Hot Air Tom wanted to do. And that same operator said, no, I can't do that. So that's the latest adventures in Hot Air Tom and the alligator, which he was not allowed to take out of the water and bring it home to Virginia either. Just thought I'd point that out. So let's go see who's with us today, who's fussing or not fussing or whatever. Over in the chat room, Gretchen's here, because we know Gretchen, by the way, I didn't make reference to it. Gretchen was the first person to guest St. Martin. on the picture, which she was correct. And I did have my clue for the St. Martin picture. If nobody had gotten it, I was really surprised that you got it that quickly. But that would have been my clue for St. Martin, which probably would have given a lot of you guys the answer. As soon as I saw that, I knew it was St. Martin as well. So, but anyway, congratulations to Gretchen on that one. Gretchen, of course, is here. Amy's with us. Hi, Amy. Good to see you again. Carol's with us. There's Elizabeth down in Cozumel. Buenos dias from the hot and sunny Cozumels. Elizabeth says, again, Elizabeth, thank you for the contest today. I'm surprised it gotten that quickly, but that's okay. Hot Air Tom's with us. Good morning, Hot Air. Cindy's with us. And Tom says he's just off the airboat. So now on to the next item on the adventures of Hot Air Tom. So Nikki's with us. He says, hi, everybody. Tom says either a nature tour, a nature hike, or a boat tour. Okay. Send pictures, send clips. We need proof. Kenneth's with us from up Pennsylvania. Hey, Kenneth, good morning to you, my friend. And Elizabeth pointed out that in the Captain Steubing picture, she is on his left, which is the right of the photo. Did I say that wrong? I might have said that wrong. That's good, a very possibility. Of course, there were some other guesses that were incorrect, but Gretchen, of course, had the correct answer of St. Martin. And everybody now is correcting Gretchen, and Gretchen thanks Hot Air Tom. Emily's with us from up in New York. She says hello to me and the gang. Hot Air, what view do you have today? How many people on the boat? On the airboat? That's a good question. I think Tom and his cousin might have been all. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if Tom answered that. Emily's getting her flu shot today. All right. Sunday is my sister's shower for her wedding. And I hope, Emily, that you don't get sore like I did. My flu shot was first shot I've had in years that I actually felt, other than, the initial prick of the needle. And I was actually sore from my flu shot this time. That all the vaccines and stuff and all the crap I went through with, my health issues, none of them made me sore, but that did. Katie's with us. She got her booster yesterday. Congratulations on that. Emily says she'll keep us posted. So, all right, that's going to wrap me up for today, folks. I'm off to therapy here shortly, and a very quiet weekend here as my sister and brother-in-law took off in the Love Shack again this morning. So they're heading down into North Carolina today. So at any rate, folks, thank you guys for being with me. As always, we appreciate thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. We're here every day, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, for travel and cruise industry news. Hit the bell notification. You'll be notified when I go live or when I post a video. So that's it for today. Everybody have a tremendous weekend. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for Saturday travel and cruise industry news. This is the old fat travel guy. You guys have a terrific Friday. See you tomorrow. I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner
Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.